So obviously Zara and them, they just went out to LA to see Blizzard.
For something. Yep.
Yeah. S-Fan, all the classic WoW goats got flown out. Savix, Guzu, Soda, Zaryu, and S-Fan. They're maybe testing or playing the game. Oh, Palomore's here.
Yeah, I saw him sneak in.
Nice.
With full oath plate, bro.
Full oath, by the way.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering, what do you think Blizzard is asking them?
You know, okay, yeah. So a couple things here. I think obviously they're under NDA, so they're not going to be able to talk about a single thing, you know. So obviously they're doing Classic Plus, right? Because this, okay, so again, there's always people I see in chat that are like, okay, it's Copium.
What up,
to say it's
Tasty?
Classic Plus, right?
I love Filipinos.
And the reason why I don't think it's Copium is because they've obviously hinted at it in a number of ways, right? That they're working on Classic Plus. But here's the main reason why I think it's got to be Classic Plus is because imagine, you know, imagine you're like in an industry for anything, like an automobile industry, right? And everybody in your automobile industry thinks you're going to release a new car, and you keep hinting at a new car release, and then they think it's going to be a new Tesla, and you come out with a freaking Honda Civic. It's like, it's such bad publicity that it would be appalling and absolutely just bewildering for a PR team not to immediately clamp down and be like, no, guys, this is not Classic Plus.
Yeah. So at this point, I think we know the car's coming. It's obvious.
100%.
But I was saying, if you were Blizzard, why would you fly these guys out? What would you ask them?
I think one, I think it's a publicity stunt.
Huh.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, like it's kind of like that. The bigger the secret, the more people want to know about it, right? So it facilitates conversations like this of like, OMG, what's happening? You know what I mean?
Right. What are they doing over there?
Right. It increases the hype. And this is just, I mean, they're using content creators for that purpose, which is what you do. Like, this is why you pay content creators to play games. #ad, right? It's publicity. So it is a publicity move. But B, hopefully they are getting insight from these guys. But if they're getting insight from the guys, here's my worry. If they're getting insight from the guys, that means Classic Plus still is in a development period. If they're like, guys, here's the game.
If they're getting flown out there and maybe they're going to be able to test it, then it's got to be in a playable state already. That's what I'm thinking. And the thing about Blizzard, they are working on things behind the scenes in their pipelines for 3 to 5 years in advance. So there's a chance that they started working on this thing, you know, literally right after the release of the final raid, Scarlet Enclave.
Yeah.
Which is well over a year ago now. So
I mean, there's a reason why they said they're ending SOD.
Yeah, so they could free up the team to work on something bigger or something else.
Correct.
Right. So I think that Czar and I think these guys that went out there are getting to test the game and they're getting to play it right now, and they're going to be in a weird spot because now they're not going to be able to say anything about it. And I've been under NDA before. I'm telling you, it's a weird spot to be in when you know something and you can't say anything, because then you can't even guess anymore. You can't even say what you think Classic's going to be.
Right.
Because then you might end up leaking something or actually leaking something. Or if you say that what you think it's going to be, then people automatically know that it's not that, because you're not allowed to say anything that is what you saw.
Basically, it shuts up all conversation you can have about Classic Plus, because by either saying or not saying something about it, you're disclosing information. Yeah. Uh,
Exactly. And so
so
now
yeah, so
I'm a little bit I'm gonna be leaning in on every word that these guys are saying now to try and decode what's going on. What did they get to see, you know? So
yeah,
we'll
but I
see. But
think
I really hope that they're getting to play and they're getting to give some valuable feedback to the devs about
yes,
what their communities have told them. Because I know S-Fan, he spent a whole day on his stream and he was kind of asking chat, talking about Classic Plus, and I was tuning in, and he was going over some things about what he thinks it will be. I've had many chats with SFan like for 4 or 5 hours about just sitting there talking to him about WoW,
yeah.
after a stream or whatnot. And we always have great chats about WoW. So SFan is a good guy to talk to. Czar seems like a pretty middle ground. I haven't had a chance to talk to Savix too much about what he thinks about Classic Plus, but all the guys that are kind of flown out there are pretty middle ground when it comes to Classic Plus. After playing RuneScape for so long, bro, I am like very much to the right of like what I want Classic WoW to be. And I was interested after you had played RuneScape, what you want Classic Plus to be.
So I think that okay, one, that's a hard question. Um, but and here's I think one, okay, two things. One, I think the biggest issue Blizzard is going to face is that everybody has their own idea and version of Classic Plus in their head.
Mm.
But to everyone, it's like this immediate solve to every issue they've ever had in WoW. And it's just like this, like it's like kind of this like the savior mentality that it's going to come through and just be the perfect game. But then when you ask every individual person what Classic Plus is, every individual person has a different perspective of what Classic Plus is. So it's like, how can it be a savior to person A, B, and C if person A, B, and C all have different opinions of what Classic Plus is?
Well, tell me what
So I think,
what kind of person are you? Like, what do you want to see from it?
okay, okay, this can't. I don't think this could happen,
Sure.
but I because of what WoW is, but I would love to see an element of horizontal gameplay in Classic Plus, because yeah, the reason why is, you know, it is a little exhausting with vertical gameplay, because eventually it just becomes, you know, it's like okay, when vanilla first launched, right? You did vanilla and then TBC and then Wrath and like you keep building up, and then eventually nobody cares because it's just, so it's like even if Classic Plus becomes as hype as vanilla was in the old days, which it's almost not even possible, but even if so, eventually the next expansion just kind of like it fizzles out. So I wish there was an element that the horizontal element that RuneScape has, you know, inside of it, because I'm
So
sure you're gonna get
how
some.
do you keep the game horizontal? Are they going to have to stretch the duration that it takes for you to get to level 60? Are they going to have to redesign combat so that you can hit mobs that are much higher level than you to keep it interesting? Are they going to change the zones? Like,
Right.
what would you want to see in Classic
I,
Plus? Because you're going to have a vision for this
this
thing.
is
Because you got to
so
know like
this is
how would you keep it horizontal
right.
as a
There's a
dev? You
couple
know.
there's a couple of ways to do it, but I fear, see, and this is my own like desire for it, which I don't think it could actually work, because I don't think the majority of the Warcraft community would embrace horizontal. Um because it would have to stretch out the game. It would have to be that you can't just, next expansion comes out and you just bypass your levels. You buy the level 58 boost and you're there. It can't be, you know, and you have to keep, you have to keep some content relevant. And I don't know if the Warcraft base would actually accept that.
Sure.
Um,
But for instance, right now, I'm 136 days played in RuneScape
yeah,
and I'm not max level yet. I'm level 123, right? So
right.
in Classic, I hit max level and
But
run out of things to do in about 10 days played.
And look, and this is what I hate about it. So, but here's the difference, right? And maybe this is solved in Classic Plus, but um, and when you get into WoW, your number one goal is to get in game so that you can get pre-raid bis and that you can raid with people, right? Like you're automatically, like, let's say vanilla, you're automatically focused on, like, let's get to strat, let's get some pre-raid bis, um Ubers, Elbers, whatever. Let's go get pre-raid bis. And the leveling journey is like the obstacle to get through. Whereas with RuneScape, you're not immediately getting into RuneScape and being like, I gotta get to Toa, right? It's like there's so much other PVM and so much other things, because everything you do kind of adds to the account in different ways, and you're progging your account as you play it. But it's like there's just no, like, everything is like not progression for your account for WoW until you get to the very end. So it's like if you were to like stretch it out, all the players just feel worse about it. Like, let's imagine like getting to 60 takes a lot longer, right? It's like people are just more miserable now because it's the barrier to get to 60 is longer.
So the other way that you could say is, okay, you could add more content for the end game, but what do you add? Because the biggest problem with WoW, in my opinion, you get to raid log status and then you have nothing to do.
Yeah.
So how do you fix that?
Yeah. I think it's inherently screwed up that getting to raid is the only motivator and enjoyment of the game. Like I think when vanilla first launched of WoW, people enjoyed the journey of leveling up and experiencing the game, right?
Okay.
And so it's like, if all you're doing is pushing through levels to get to the end, and then you have raid logging, it's like the majority of your game was, instead of being enjoyable, was now just a means to an end. So I think fixing the leveling process for it to be an actual like enjoyable experience where it's not a barrier is the first fix, actually. But then fixing raid logging, that's tough.
So here's what I think. You can tell me what you think about this.
Sure.
I think that after playing RuneScape, I've enjoyed a longer leveling phase, but I would like some kind of combat rework where if me and you wanted to take on some higher level mobs for more difficulty, that it would allow us to do that. So changing the way that warriors miss every single attack on a mob that's 5 levels higher than them, instead of having it be like that, you could just have it where me and you, we do less damage to that mob, or we have less accuracy versus that mob, like it works in RuneScape.
So it's doable.
It's doable. It's just harder.
Right.
Right. Or if I want to take a bunch of level 10s to go try and kill a level 60, it's not impossible. It's just very hard. You know what I mean? Like changing the way that you interact with higher level mobs would be kind of cool. You could push higher level zones a bit quicker. If you're in a big group of people, you could get access to quest items and stuff a little bit sooner. Maybe if you're in a group, that type of stuff would be cool. But I think the biggest thing that Classic Plus needs is it needs the combat achievements. Like, it needs prestigious cosmetics, things to go after.
I agree
when you're not raiding. So you'll need things like maybe the Mage Tower. A lot of people say the Mage Tower in Legion was something that was really cool. It's kind of like a solo raid, or these challenges or things that you can go after. You can have completion stuff, so you can take what retail does really well. It does have achievements. You could bring in the achievements from kind of like what they have going on in retail. You could bring that into Classic. You can have completionists where you complete quests in every zone, and kind of like you get your quest cape. You could finish every quest in the game. It doesn't have to be capes or anything like that from RuneScape, but you want these type of things that RuneScape does really well, and to have something else for people to do beyond just raid logging.
I
And
totally I agree with that. I think some measure of skill expression that can translate into a cosmetic or wearable item would be amazing.
sure, now retail has these things. So retail has 3 titles essentially. They have rank 1 for
I
PvP, they have
Yeah.
Mythic plus champion, and they have cutting edge for rating. But I don't
Right.
think those things belong in classic. It's tough because you don't want the raids necessarily to be too hard where you gatekeep,
Right.
but you want the optional difficulty like
Correct.
soloing Tob,
Correct.
where
Also,
I
I
think
think items are cooler than freaking titles.
right. So
I think
imagine, you know how they did it in SOD where the raid was really hard with 20 people at first, and then eventually you could take 40 if you wanted to make it easier.
right.
I thought that was a great concept. And if they took it even one step farther, what if you did it with 10 and then you got a Zuckhelm for doing everything with half the amount of people that you're supposed to be able to do it with?
No, yeah, that's hype. That's
Cool.
That's incredible. Yeah, 100%.
So now you're like, dude, you've cleared every raid with 10 people, or you've cleared every dungeon with 3 people.
Yeah.
That could be kind of cool. Or if you've done like, if there's like a harder challenge mode or something, maybe just removing the number of people could be the challenge mode, which is kind of what it is in RuneScape. And those type of things, I think, would add so much dynamic to the Classic Plus space that it could make it much more interesting. But I do really think they need the completionist stuff for collectors. And I would honestly, bro, I love RuneScape and I love WoW. And I think that Classic WoW should take as much from RuneScape inspiration as possible, because we want a classic game in the old classic world that's expanded upon. But I don't want just another raid. You know what I mean? I want like
right.
I personally want not even in the same century. I would like Barons to be in 2 different, broken up into 2 different places, and maybe Crossroads isn't even there. It's called something else, and like this is before Crossroads even happened, so you have different quests and none of the same quests, like none of the same rested XP route. Like honestly, nothing from the old world. I would want everything changed, almost like WoW 2.0 from Classic Plus, which I think is too much to ask from the devs.
I think it is. I think it is. Sadly, yeah. And that's what even my horizontal expression that I wanted, I think might be too much to ask from the devs, because it inherently changes maybe a little too much.
Yeah, but at the same time, is if they don't change enough, then I don't know if I'm interested in the game, because it feels like SOD. It just feels like they changed a few things.
Correct.
But I'm still leveling in the same zones, doing the same quests.
Correct.
The only thing that's different is like, yeah, there's some level up raids, and then my class has a slightly better rotation, which I like the rotations, but you still run into that problem is like, it's not enough. We're still doing the same raids. We already know these raids. It's like, I honestly feel like they need all new raids. It needs, I feel like Classic Plus kind of needs to be like a WoW 2.0.
I think it does. I would agree it does, because for the exact reason that you're talking about, it's like, I mean, because like SOD fizzled out, right? It's like I didn't really care as much.
When SOD has a lot of new stuff in it, and now we're saying that SOD had too much stuff. So what are they going to do? Release a Classic Plus that has less stuff than SOD, and everybody's like, yes, this is the Classic Plus we wanted? I swear that's not going to go well.
Yeah, I agree. I think it definitely has to be changed enough to feel different than just, I'm playing vanilla with some flavor added to it. Vanilla with a new raid is not good.
No.
And basically what SOD was vanilla with TBC skills, some Wrath and TBC skills, as in a vanilla reskin with a new raid.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like Blizzard is kind of fighting an uphill battle here, is because
they are.
I really don't think the player base knows what they want in a way.
They don't.
And everybody wants something different.
Yes.
They can't. I would love, you know what I'd love to see? The entire skilling profession system overhauled.
That would be cool.
I think it should take you, I mean, they should kind of do it like RuneScape. I mean,
yes.
RuneScape has it where you could do every skill. It's very slow and tedious to grind, but it would mean something. It would suck. It would suck for alts, but I don't.
Yeah, but what if you did like RuneScape, where you could take as many professions as you want for a main, and then your main
could be your guy that skills for your alts.
Right. It doesn't have to be that you can only have 2 and then you're locked out and you have to make an alt to have another skill. And then that actually adds to the horizontal progression where, if you're 3 expansions in, you still start with level 1 skills. And then the person that has multiple skills keeps their skills throughout the next expansion. I think that adds tremendous value to horizontal. Like that to me is enough of a horizontal expression to make every next expansion be like, oh, that's awesome, I'm keeping this. Whereas the next expansion comes out and it's like, oh, all the greens of the next expansion are better than my mega rares, so to speak, that I got in this expansion. It feels so bad.
Sorry, I'm gonna read this chat. There's no way Classic Plus would satisfy everyone. Like for me, I don't want to play a lock or a hunter. I want to play my champion and pick my own journey, skills, etc. Damn. Imagine in WoW, you just were a blank canvas and you put talent points to become a warlock.
I think classes is just. I think classes is too iconic for WoW to change. Like I don't think getting rid of the class-based system is good. I think there's pros and cons to class-based system. I think RuneScape has good pros and cons to it. I think WoW has good pros and cons to it. And I don't think just removing that, like, it's just 2 different games. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Doesn't mean you can't take inspiration from other games. Because right now, WoW is the greatest MMO ever, but at the same time, we want the game to have a continuing, thriving player base, especially because we're streamers and we want to have something to do every day. And right now, the only thing to do in WoW when you hit the end game is do it again.
Yeah.
Start over and make another character. And so how do you extend that with the way that people consume games nowadays? I mean, RuneScape is the grindiest game ever, and there's hundreds of thousands of people that have max capes.
Yeah.
Like, we just consume games at a faster rate nowadays. And so I just really, the thing that I want the most is for Classic Plus to just have so much content. I just want there to be so much to do. I don't want to run out of things to do. That's like my biggest concern.
I legitimately, like, I really feel like, bro, it's going to be vanilla reskinned. I think it's going to be vanilla with an extra raid. I really think that's going to be what ends up happening. I think it's going to be vanilla with extra quality of life. Like, you'll get mounts at 20. You'll have different skills. And you're going to get to the end. It's going to be a new raid. You're going to do the raid and you're going to raid log. To be honest, if you had to ask me what I actually,
and if that is Classic Plus, if it is that where, it's the exact same thing we have now, but it's called Classic Plus and you level up and your class just has more of a retail like rotation, or a sod-like rotation,
Yeah.
and you get there in 5 days and then you raid log, I am going to be so disappointed in that. And especially if the leveling process doesn't change hardly at all. If there's like one new zone, I'm like, oh, sick, there was a new zone. But then I'm leveling up and my rogue has Sinister Strike, but now I have to maintain Slice and Dice. And that's the that's the rotation, that's the change that they made.
Yeah.
Like you regen energy slightly faster or something. You know, like that can't be Classic Plus. That's literally the same game. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I just want so much change so that it doesn't feel like the same game, same experience that we've already done. That I basically want as close as to WoW 2.0 as they can. Literally not even, maybe even the map looks slightly different, or the zones are slightly different because of it's at a different time zone. So it doesn't feel the same. It's still in Azeroth in the classic world, but a different leveling route or something. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%. Is the amount of people they're putting on this game on Classic Plus enough to do that? If it's just their sod team they're putting on to Classic Plus, dude, I think that's too much. I don't think they can do that.
And that's why I mean, Mythic Plus and Classic Plus is a hot topic. I don't think Classic players want it. I think Classic players would be more inclined to challenge modes and achievements for doing something like you clear the same dungeon everyone else does, but you clear it with either less people or you clear it faster.
I think you're right. I think me and Usard are probably more sweats. So we're fine with doing harder things like a Mythic Plus.
Mm-hmm.
But I think majority of Classic players want more of a casual feel than the sweatiness. So I would agree that Mythic Plus is probably not like really essential to Classic players. But I agree with what you're saying. If there's a way to have skill expression for sweaty players like us who also like Classic, but it doesn't affect like your BIS stays the same, but you can do sweatier stuff and express that with either a title or a cape or whatever. I think that's the best of both worlds. And I think also I agree with you that extends the life of the game.
Yeah.
I think that change is one of the best changes they can make. But the other change that we don't want it to feel like vanilla again.
Yeah. The thing is like what I love about, I know that WoW and Classic, it caters to dad gamers, but the thing is OSRS does too. It's a horizontal game, and it takes you a long time, but you're not missing out on anything by playing slower than others. You're just at your point in your progression always. And the more hours you put in, the more you catch up to others, because people are not infinitely getting ahead of you like in retail. It's a horizontal game design. Right. So wherever you're at, that's fine. You just pick back up where you left off when you log back in. And so that's the magic of horizontal game design. And I think that's great. And it should be a long journey. And it should be, I do think that they need Fire Cape and Infernal Cape in Classic Plus. But it's so hard to do that with the class design. And I fear that like I want something that can't be done with Classic Plus. And I also fear the same thing you're saying, like they don't have the team to do it, even if they were like, you know what? Yeah, we are going to make this horizontal game design with classes. And you have to realize what you're asking for when you ask for horizontal with 8 different classes. Now they're designing Oathplate for 8 different characters. They're designing Demon Bane weapons for 8 different characters. They're designing every type of weapon, because you have to stretch. Nothing can be better. Everything has to be slightly better than the other one when you're going horizontal. So if you want it to where you're managing your bag, and first off, I love managing my bag and changing my items on my warrior, but no other class is really doing that in the game, where you're like swapping out gear based on what fight that you're doing. And I think that you should be managing your bag when you're doing combat in World of Warcraft. I think you should be your bag should be full of
If you wanna sweat.
gear and that's a classic style MMO is managing around your gear. There shouldn't just be one set of gear that's BIS for everything, and that's the current WoW that we have. And I just think it's too boring. Even though I love the classic gearing, it's my favorite type of gearing in WoW. Warrior is really the only one who gets to experience that level of managing your gear. And I think that they could even push that farther. And there could be certain weapons that do more damage against certain types. Like there could be a weakness system, like what RuneScape has, where certain weapons do more damage versus other types of bosses.
Right.
And instead of what they tried to do with that is they tried to add resist, and fire resist is boring. Defense, like having to wear more defense is just boring. They should have gone the opposite way with it and done the Demon Bane weapon system where like, now that I have this weapon, I'm going to do more damage to fire or elementals.
Yeah, right. So
they should have done that system.
So Baron spawns fire ads or Baron Riven or whatever.
When he spawns the fire ads, you swap to your elemental weapon, and then now you're doing more damage to them, right? And the more people that have these elemental weapons, the more damage faster you can kill the ads.
Right.
I think that type of gameplay works very well in a classic style MMO.
I agree. I think that kind of spreads out more of the because again, like you said, that's how RuneScape does it, and it spreads out the grinds where it's not so linear as an A, B, C, D, I'm done. You know, you can be like, oh, I can actually sidestep here and get this piece. Which makes it a little more dynamic in the path you take and not so static in the linear progression that you have. But you're right. I mean, like the more of these things they add, the more designs they have to do per character. Now, if it's a cape or if it's a weapon, you don't have to do as many designs because that can transverse different characters and different classes and races and everything. But when you start doing gear, and you have to do definitely different designs, which increases the scope of the work they have to do.
What about this is a good. First off, there are type weapons in WoW. They just suck. There's even like plus demon slaying enchants, and they're trash.
Yeah.
My question is like, why are they trash? They could have could have been a cool system where it's like, you have to choose your enchant, and now you're going to do more damage on this boss than I am because you have the enchant. That could have been a system that they talked about, and then you would want 5 weapons, and you want a different enchant on each weapon because your enchant does more damage versus each boss, and that would give you something to strive for. You're like, all right, I want 5 of these weapons now, so I can enchant them all differently. That would work. But that being said, how do you feel about quests being more meaningful in Classic Plus? Dude, RuneScape quest system, in my opinion, longer thought out quest chains are so much better than Slayer.
Yes.
Like actual Onyxia attunement level quests are so much more exciting to do. Like the quests in RuneScape are infinitely more exciting to me than any quests along the way in WoW. Like until you get to the Oni quest line, I think the quests in WoW kind of suck. They're all the same thing. Go kill 20 of this and go kill 50 of that. Collect this and come back. But the questing in RuneScape, it's like so good and intricate, and like you learn the lore, and you don't really. I mean, the Defias Brotherhood, fantastic quest in WoW. Early on, you're doing that quest line to unlock Dead Mines, and you're learning about Van Cleave. And then later on, you're doing the Onyxia quest line. You're learning that, Lady Katrina Prescott is undercover as Onyxia, and she's been pulling the strings behind the scenes. Like those type of level quests are what Classic WoW needs. And I think that what I really liked from SOD was the legendary quest line that they had for very few amount of people, which is a lot of dev work for a few amount of people, but that's kind of what it should be. Is like the people that got the Corrupted Ashbringer in Season of Discovery from the Paladin quest line, and then they had to solo the 4 Horsemen fight. Dude, it was so sick.
Is that sick?
So sick. And when I saw that you could have a solo raid, like a solo boss encounters, I'm like, this is the level of stuff that they need in Classic to keep it interesting. Like, oh, you beat the 4 horsemen on solo. Like, okay, did you beat this 4 horsemen on solo on hard mode? You know, and if you do that, then you get a cosmetic, and maybe it makes your helmet glow or something, right? And like those are the prestige cosmetics that I want Classic WoW to have, and the prestige is like the hard challenges that separates the Zuck, that gives you like the Zuck helm, the Infernal Cape, the Radiant Oathplate stuff. Like these type of prestige challenges is what I think Classic Plus should focus on, because that's what I love the most about RuneScape.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think again, skill expression and non-required fights that you can express via equipment in some form or fashion is a genius idea that extends gameplay, but also allows sweaty players to express themselves. Love it. For the quests, I also agree that like longer, more thought out quests that do more for the account is more rewarding than 50 Slayer tasks, right? If you do one quest line that gives you the same amount of XP that 50 Slayer quests do, I would rather the one quest line, right? It's just more enjoyable, especially ones that are as well thought out as, you know, that one with Sod, with the Ashbringer, or the you know, or the Onyxia quest line. Like those are very, very well done, and I think if they had more of those and less quests, but again, think about what we're asking here. We're asking for a complete overhaul of what Warcraft is. They have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of quests, right? Getting rid of all those to make actual storyline quests, bro, this is Warcraft 2. And I just think that, like, I would love it, but I think the scope is too big.
Yeah.
But what that does is, what I want is more enjoyable. I don't want it to be an obstacle to get to 60. I don't want, like, I'm you know, I'm level 20 and my friends are level 40 and they're going to raid without me. And so I just have to push. And just get me through these quests. Skip. Get me through.
No, like that is a good point. The tier 0.5 quests in Classic were so epic, and they required a lot of work. And imagine that those tier 0.5 quests were all as good as the rogue one is, which gives you energy back with the 6 set. And like rogues kept the tier 0.5 set until almost tier 3 or tier 2. They kept those 0.5 sets for so long. Like that's the type of horizontal progression where if you really invest in an epic quest line like that, that it gives you meaningful rewards that last for a very long time. And so having BIS pieces from almost every part of the game is what people should be, striving for, and for a game design to keep things relevant. And that's so hard to do with 8 different class designs. I don't envy the devs at all that are trying to make Classic Plus. It is so hard to design Classic horizontal MMO for 8 different classes. Thinking about how to do it is just like it's overwhelming to think about. Like, I don't envy the devs at all.
But again, I don't want pure horizontal necessarily. I just want diagonal, man. I want some horizontal elements that make the account progression worthwhile, even when the new expansion comes.
How would you feel about this? You had to get full tier 1, or you had to have the tier 1 piece in order to upgrade to the tier 2 piece.
Fair enough. Good.
Instead of skipping Molten Core, you have to do Molten Core first. Or even if you skip it, you still need the tier 1 piece in order to, or it's like, Upgradescape, where you would get the boots. Like you would imagine you got the dragon boots, and then you need to get the prims, and then you can put those into the Avernic.
Right,
so
Ranger boots.
Yeah, so you need 1, 2, and 3 in order to have the max set. So it's like you could equip tier 3, but it's not full BIS tier 3. It's treads. But if you go back and get the prims and the dragon boots, then you can slam those into your tier 3, and now you have max tier 3.
Yeah.
Would you think upgrade, that upgrade level could keep old content relevant in WoW? Would that work? You need tier 1. If you have tier 1 and 2, you can merge it into your tier 3 for extra stats to give you a reason to go back.
This is tough. Yeah, I can definitely see outrage from the community for this, as at the same time forcing somebody to go back and do Molten Core when TBC is out, that kind of vibe. I think one thing that's like, one aspect is like with OSRS, you're not forced to bring other people along to these raids. So if I'm doing a sidestep to get, Avernic treads or something, I'm going to Doom solo. So I'm not dependent on where the community is at. But if I'm trying to find a group for Molten Core and everybody is doing, the Black Temple or something like that, I'm never going to find a group. And now I'm locked out because the community has all progressed, but I made my account early and I'm trying to level it up. And now I'm locked behind relatively dead content.
Yeah.
I think it's hard. But it is sad to lose good content because of vertical progression. So I think
this is how you keep all raids relevant. You have to keep the old raids relevant. How do you do that?
You have to.
What do you do right now when you play SOD? You make a character, you pay to get it boosted, and then you go straight into Nax. And then you get the Nax gear, and then you do Scarlet Enclave, and then you're done. You could beat the whole game in a week. You know what I mean? And then that's what will happen to Classic Plus if they don't give you a reason to do everything in the game.
Yeah.
That's why horizontal progression is BIS, because you need BIS items from every single piece of content, or you need to require them to do the old content, or give them the option to go back and get more damage from the old items and merge them in, like what RuneScape does with Upgradescape.
Right.
Now, the other question that I don't know is, should there be lockouts in Classic Plus, or should they lower the drop rates and let you spam the raids?
I think the lockout system is fine for what WoW is. I think the lockout system is fine because RuneScape, you're allowed to go and do solo raids in your own time. Whereas WoW, you have to bring 20 people to a raid, and then you have to work with all their schedules. If you had no lockouts, it would just. But maybe, you would have a lot more pub groups happening. Is what you would have. A lot more pugging, right? You couldn't do it with your guild every time.
So imagine even less gear dropped than what does now. So what if it was one piece of gear per boss in a 20-man, an raid that's for 20-man, but that would incentivize you to take 10 people if you could. You want to take as little amount of people to the raid, but that makes it harder. And so now you're incentivizing people to take the least amount of people possible to the raid to make it harder, so you don't have to share as much loot. And then you have no lockouts, so you guys can be like, yo, doing 2 Molten Core runs back to back, looking for people, right? Or yo, we're spamming all day, looking for people who can run all day. And we're doing full clears in 45 minutes. And that would give you repeatable content in game, which is what RuneScape does. They just lowered the drop rates. They basically made the drop rates non-existent. And maybe the bosses didn't even drop items every single time. Maybe they drop herb lore stuff. Maybe they drop stuff for your professions. So, or they drop
cut diamonds.
Yeah, they drop 15 cut diamonds. Maybe you get nothing. They get nothing from Rag when you kill him. But they allow you to run the raid again tomorrow. And it doesn't feel as bad when there's no lockout. So I don't know if they would ever do a no lockout system, but as much as I want the gear, I don't want to get the gear right away because then I have nothing to go for. So
yeah,
I think RuneScape pushes the line a bit too far with some of their drop rates. But at the same time, I always have something to do when I log in, and I love that.
You know what would be interesting? And okay, this is me spitballing. This could be a terrible idea, so don't play me, chat. I'm just going to throw this out here. But imagine a system where you had like a gold key and a bronze key, right? And the gold key you can only use once a week, and the bronze key you can use as many times as you want. But the gold key gives you a higher drop rate for the group. So you'd plan for your guild to use the gold key once a week. And then for the people that just want to spam, you use the bronze key. And then you can spam the bronze key as much as you want. So you kind of get best of both worlds. Pug it as much as you want. Bronze key, easier raid. You can spam it quicker. Gold key, harder raid, higher loot, only once a week.
Okay. So there's a harder raid on a once a week lockout and a spammable raid that's easier with lower drop chance, and you have a chance to get nothing.
Weekly lockout and non-weekly lockout.
Okay, so that's a meet in the middle compromise. I think that would work. Now, that's interesting. I haven't heard anyone say that before, so that kind of caught me off guard. But I think it's a good idea. So, what about the loot system in Classic? Should they get rid of Master Looter?
Why? Just to like get rid of drama, or?
So when we run a RuneScape raid, I have my own chest.
Oh, non-shared loot.
What if in Classic they did personal loot where everyone has a chance to get an item off the boss, and you roll your own individual loot roll. So there's a chance that like shit, everyone could get a purple if it's a super rare loot roll. Like there's a chance both of me and you could both get Yama legs, but it ain't ever happening. The chances of it are 1 in a million.
Yeah.
Right? So it's super rare for that to happen. That would take away a lot of the loot drama that happens in Classic Plus. It would get rid of GDKP. It would get rid of a lot of different things. I mean, it would get rid of the drama situations in Classic Plus, or it would get rid of loot funneling. It would get rid of ninja-ing because you would just loot the item. You know what I mean? It would get rid of soft reserve, selling hard reserve. It would get rid of selling carries. It would get rid of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
If you just rolled your own individual loot table on every boss.
I do want the drama. I think the drama is hilarious. I think the ninjas and the chaos, and I think there's a certain amount of hype though to high rolling on an item, you know?
Yeah, but I also think that system is better because you might run Molten Core 10 times and you're like, shit, I got 4 Core Hound Tooths and I can't get the freaking Gut Gore Ripper and I need another dagger, right? And these are unique and I can't wear 2 of them. It's like, you're like, damn, I'm going dry on Gar, but I've gotten spooned on Major Domo. So it's just like, it would add that element of you having to spam the raids, and then you could just keep spamming if you're going to run your bronze key or whatever you called it. There's the spammable raid, and then there's the once a week lockout that has a slightly higher loot drop chance. Or if you run the once a week raid, it has a guaranteed chance of dropping an item on every boss, but you could also spam it for like a 1 in 10 chance of the boss dropping something for you.
Yep. I think to be honest with you, I think either system works. solo loot or shared loot. I think both work in different ways. I enjoy both systems. I really do. I would be fine keeping the loot, shared loot, and I'd be fine having solo loot.
Mm-hmm.
I think shared loot is so WoW coded though. I think the community would be very remiss to see that gone.
Yeah, it is a very group oriented game. There's not much you can do in the game solo at high level.
There's not.
So
yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting to think about. I kind of wonder how in retail, they used to have that system where you would do a boss and like a piece of gear would drop for you or it wouldn't. And they ended up getting rid of it and going back to like everyone rolls on the item, but you can only roll on the item if you can equip it.
Interesting. I mean, that would say people griefing.
I'd be curious to see that. But I would love to be able to spam the raids and not have a lockout for a much lower chance. I think that would give some replayability.
I love it. I love it. And then scale down the raid where it's more like a dungeon where you take a group of 7 instead of 20.
Right.
Or 6 or whatever. 5. And you do it with 5 instead of 20, and then you can spam it. I think that plus your skill expression comment at least extends the end game. If nothing else, at least we have an end game that's not raid logging.
Yeah, or at least you can have spammable raids, and then you have optional, harder things to go after for prestigious cosmetics, similar to Infernal Cape or Zuckhelm, and then you have a collection log experience you can pursue. You could do every profession, try to level up your professions, which would give you more things to progress, and then doing PvE, PVM would drop things for your profession, so you don't have to necessarily just sit there and gather herbs. Like very, very RuneScape-esque style system. I think it could add more dynamic to the World of Warcraft experience in Classic and not make it feel like just a combat-oriented game. I think the profession's going to get more involved.
Yeah. I think I agree. Those 3 things: spammable raids with the weekly lockout as well, skill expression and in-game content that's not required but optional, and then skilling that can be done. Like you can do all skilling, and that skilling keeps throughout every expansion. I think those 3 things add a horizontal element as well as in-game content that creates a lot more replayability than what's currently available.
Right. Yeah, these are all really good things. If they could do any of these ideas that we've talked about today, I would be very happy.
I agree.
But at the same time, we're just like, this is not going to happen. You know what I mean? It's like, this is what we want, but we know we're not getting it. That's just like, that is my never ending feeling with Classic Plus, is like, there's all these things that I want that I know I'm not going to get.
Yeah. I think we're getting we're getting another sod of sorts. Unfortunately, but I'm
optimistic though. I'm more hopeful about it than pessimistic. I'm gonna try to say maybe they're gonna surprise me. They're gonna surprise us. They're gonna come with something crazy. And at BlizzCon, we're gonna see, right?
You know what makes me more optimistic is Soda, S-Fan.
Them bringing them out there is more than they've ever done.
Yeah,
at least some content creators, right? Because Jagex is so in touch with the community, and talks to the content creators in the community. Like every day on the forums, you see interaction of Mod Ash on Twitter. Like
Right.
that's just stuff that I feel like classic devs should do more of, is have more community devs that interact with the player base more. I would love to see that, but this is a step in the right direction. So I think
It is.
it's giving me hope. The experiment that they did with SOD gives me a little bit of hope. Hopefully they got a really good feedback, and then that big Classic Plus survey that the community did, maybe Blizzard has access to that information. They've also seen what worked for Turtle WoW, and so a combination of a lot of these things, you know, Savix and Guzu and Zaryu and Sodapop, and they all got to play a little bit of RuneScape, so they got to see what it was like. Even S-Fan played a little bit of RuneScape. Like every person that they flew out got to play a little bit of RuneScape and see what they liked about this game. So I hope that they take that feedback and their experience of what they learned from this from RuneScape, and maybe they recommend what was good over here to Blizzard, and maybe they take it from there, and we'll see what happens. But
I agree.
Yo, good wood chopping sesh, dude. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun.